Greetings to you all, my fine internet friends. I am Kelsey. I have my hat on, and today I'm filming a book haul for the months of April and May. I purchased 2 books new from Amazon, 4 from Book Outlet, 7 used from used bookstores, and 1 used audiobook CD. As always, I like to start off a book haul with books I purchased that I have already read, so they aren't going on my TBR, but I bought them because I got them from the library and loved them enough that I know I will want to reread them. So I have both volumes of Catherynne and Valente's The Orphans' Tales in the Night Garden is the first one, and The Cities of Coin and Spice is the second one. I found the second one used, and so I went ahead and purchased a new copy of the first one because it would be silly to just have the second one. These are dark adult fairy tale-ish fantasy stories. They are compared to the Arabian Nights because of the format that they take. They are nested stories within stories. These stories have a very wide array of cultural, mythology, fairy tale, folklore influences, but they are original fairy tales, they're not retellings. I talked a bit more about these books and why I like them in my first ever booktube video, so I'll link that for you. These contain some illustrations by Michael Kaluta, and some of them are very thrilling. So I am enjoying even just flipping through these books and remembering all of these different stories that I had maybe started to forget a bit. So I'm very pleased to have these. And while I was on Amazon buying the first book, I also bought The Girl Who Raced Fairyland All the Way Home. I will soon start this series. This is the last one that was recently released. And I already had the first 4 books, so now I have this one that's the 5th. I really like Valente's adult writing, so I'm looking forward to getting into her middle grade series, and I know this is very popular on BookTube. These are her most popular books on BookTube. So I'm very happy to have the last book because I am sure I'm going to want to read them all. These also have some illustrations by Ana Juan. I bought the first 4 books used last summer and they've been making their way up my TBR. I'm thinking I'll probably start reading them around July. Next, I've got my 4-book Book Outlet order. I made this order the week they were having a sale on middle grade because I have been wanting to read more middle grade. I've been seeing it everywhere and drooling over it. It seems to me like there's a lot of specifically really good-looking middle grade fantasy being published in recent years, and I want in on it. So I looked at all the books that they had on the sale, and I was looking up Goodreads reviews, and I picked one that I had never heard of based on the book description and reviews, and that is The Witch's Boy by Kelly Barnhill. I had never heard of this book. It appears that this book is about a boy named Ned. His mother is a witch, and he had a twin brother who died, and he ends up on some sort of magical adventure with a girl. And that's just about all I know about it, and it has amazing reviews online. So that's the magic of cheap books, is that sometimes you can go out on a limb and buy something that you wouldn't have otherwise even known existed. If you've read this book or know someone who has, please tell me whether it was good. I'm hoping it's good. And so while I was on the Book Outlet website, I picked up another book that was also middle grade. This wasn't on the sale, but this was a scratch and dent copy, so for the price it might as well have been, and that is The Search for WondLa by Toni DiTerlizzi. This I have heard a bit about. It looks like a sci-fi series sort of in the tradition of middle grade fantasy, heavily illustrated, so I guess I've got a lot of illustrated books in this haul. This is the first in a trilogy about a girl called Ava 9, and I think it has robots and aliens. Yeah, but it looks really whimsical, and I want that. That's what I want. I want whimsical books. And while I was placing an order on Book Outlet, I picked up 2 more adult books that they had in very limited quantities. Whenever they have books I want in limited quantities, I try to arrange it so that I can get as many of them at once as possible. First one is The Onion Girl by Charles Lint. This is part of his Urban Fantasy Newford series that I've been wanting to read for a while, but as I've mentioned before, I don't really know where to start. But I was thinking this might be a good place to start. I know this is one of the later books, but I read some Goodreads reviews that said that some people started reading with this one and thought it was really good. I know that this is the first of 3 books that should be read in a particular order, but that those are the only 3 that people think need to be read in any particular order of the Newford books. I believe the main character of this is an artist, which is also what really appealed to me about it, and it looks beautiful. So I also have one of the Newford short story collections that I purchased in a previous Book Outlet order, but I'm thinking I'll probably start with this one. And lastly, from Book Outlet, I have The Gracekeepers by Kirsty Logan. I believe this to be a sort of lyrical, magical, fantastical dystopian set in a flooded world with a circus on a boat. It maybe has some Scottish folklore influences, ? Someone on the back said Scottish. I hope that's right. So this seems like something that might be to my taste. I'm looking forward to trying it. And then I have all the rest of my used books. First are the $1 books. Those are always the most impulsive purchases. I have 3 $1 books. I got The House at Riverton by Kate Morton, which is super impulsive given that I already have 2 of her books to read and haven't read either of them yet, but I know my mom loves this author. And this was her debut novel. I know this is historical fiction with a kind of mystery element, and it was $1. Next, I have Child of the Prophecy by Juliet Marillier. This is the 3rd book in her Seven Waters series, which was originally a trilogy and then it got more books. I read the first book, Daughter of the Forest, last summer. It's a retelling of the Wilde Swans fairy tale, but I don't think the rest of the books are direct retellings of anything. I really like Juliet Marillier as an author. I want to read more of her books. I have the second book, Son of the Shadows, and I'm planning on getting to it this summer. I have the first 2 in these mass market paperbacks, and then this was the copy that I found on the $1 rack at my used bookstore, so I'm not so certain about this, how this is gonna work on my shelf, but I'm gonna roll with it. And hey, giant hardcover for $1! My third $1 book was also impulsive for the reason of I have 2 books by this author and haven't read either of them yet. In this case, they were both also $1 used purchases. And this book is Etiquette and Espionage by Gail Carriger. This is the first book in her YA finishing school series that takes place in the same world as her Parasol Protectorate series. And I have the first 2 books of the Parasol Protectorate series. This is a paranormal alternate history steampunk series. So I'm not going to pick this up until I've tried those first 2 books of the adult series, but I've heard things about this author that make me think I might like her books. She seems to really like tea and things. I also like tea and things and like Victorian things, so I could not pass up a $1 copy. Next are my non-$1 used books. These were all more than $1, guys. Terrifying. First, I have Water, Tales of the Elemental Spirits by Robin McKinley and Peter Dickinson. This is a short story collection. They wrote together another one that is Fire, Tales of the Elemental Spirits, and I already own that one. I haven't read it yet. These short stories, I think, are the only things of Robin McKinley's left that I have never read. So I'm rereading some of her books because I do that a lot, but I also wanted to read both of these collections. And I've never read anything by Peter Dickinson, so I'm looking forward to reading his stories as well. I think he did a collection on his own that was Air and Earth. So if I like these, I might pick that one up to complete the series. Next I have East by Edith Pattou or Pattou. I'm going to go with Pattou. Please tell me if I'm wrong. This is a retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon, which is a Norwegian fairy tale. It's a sort of Beauty and the Beast, Cupid and Psyche type story. It sort of falls under that category. But I have never read a retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon. And this was one of, I think, 3 retellings of that story that April Sarah mentioned in her amazing Epic Mondo retelling video that she posted a few months ago. I'll link that for you. And I asked in the comments which of the 3 she listed she thought was best, and this was the one she thought was best. So I was looking for it in used bookstores. I could have just purchased a copy online, but that kind of like spoils the fun sometimes, and hunting this book down was fun. I remember seeing this book around a lot when I was in high school, but I never read it. I think I didn't know it was a retelling, otherwise I would have been interested. So I'm very pleased to have it now. I only have 2 things left. They were part of the same used impulse purchase. I picked up for $1.50 the complete fairy tales of Oscar Wilde, and for $2.50 the audiobook CD of The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. This I picked up even though I wasn't going to pick up any more books this month, because I noticed I was reading or was planning to read a lot of physically large books both this month and next month, and I wanted something smaller and more portable and like mass market size that I could keep in my purse on days when I'm not carrying a bag big enough to put one of those other books in, but I want something to read on the subway. So I've been doing that over the last week or so, and I've already read about a third of it. I'm enjoying these. So yes, I have this. And then I picked this up because this was an extremely good deal for an audiobook CD. This is a YA urban fantasy book that gets a lot of love on BookTube. And I didn't have anything that I was really planning on listening to on audiobook, so I wanted to have an audiobook lined up for next time I feel like listening to an audiobook. So I've got this one. Holly Black wrote a book called Tithe that I really hated in high school, although I don't remember a thing about it and I don't remember why I hated it. So I have avoided her ever since. But this sounds like the kind of dark, cool fairy tale thing I might really like. And I'm thinking maybe my tastes have changed since I was younger, or maybe Holly Black's writing has changed. And I think it's going to be worth giving her another try, especially since I don't even remember what it was I didn't like about Tithe, because I remember nothing about that book. And that's just a silly reason to avoid an author for the rest of your life. Okay, that is all the books I have. I'm definitely going to be reading a lot of books that I already have before I get to most of these, but I will be reading them eventually, and I'm very happy for most of them. Let me know if you've read any of these, or if you want to talk about them, or if you want to talk about other books that aren't these books. I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, bye for now.